Good morning, Your Serene Highness Prince Albert II, Mr. Carlos Carreiras, Mayor of Cascais, Your Excellency Mr. Jaber Al-Sheri, Deputy Minister for Fisheries of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Excellency Mrs. Dilek Hayen, Norwegian State Secretary of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Fisheries, Mr. Fausto Brito Abreu, Regional Secretary for the Sea Science and Technology, Mr. Alain Rosset, President of the Aquitaine Region, members of the Diplomatic Corps and other authorities present, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor and pleasure to deliver this address to such a distinguished audience in this important, unique event. I would like to start by expressing my sincere thanks to Pierre and Veronique for all their efforts and hard work and for all their enthusiasm in making BioMarine 2014 in Cascais possible. Thank you very much. As I'm sure you are all aware, it's more than you. As I'm sure you are all aware, BioMarine 2014 is one of the key business events of the year in Portugal, and dare I say, also at a global level, bringing together an impressive group of business leaders and participants from all parts of the world that jointly represent a growing and extremely competitive and valuable industry. BioMarine is the global showcase for the latest knowledge and skills covering all sectors within the marine bioresource industry, including marine ingredients, marine biotechnology, aquaculture and aquafeed, nutraceuticals and clean technology. It provides an international platform for a constructive dialogue between decision makers, international organizations, regional and national associations and the private sector. It is therefore an occasion to learn from best practice of key national and international stakeholders, and to put forward projects and partnerships, build international research programs, and create a joint vision for the marine bioresources industry. Mostly important, BioMarine 2014 is the gateway for outstanding business opportunities in Portugal and to create qualified jobs, bringing together more than 300 business leaders that represent the mainstream of global marine bioresources industry. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Portugal is determined to develop its sea economy. It is currently a principal European country in biomarine capabilities and aims at becoming Europe's foremost leader in biomarine sector, particularly by creating and attracting investment opportunities and supporting research and development. In order to achieve this, Portugal has taken important steps to improve the legal and regulatory framework, namely with the approval of the National Ocean Strategy for the Ocean 2013-2020 and the preparation of groundbreaking legislation on marine spatial planning that simplifies and accelerates procedures. Financing is also available through public funds, but also private funds that have long understood the potential for investing in Portugal's sea economy. Portugal's determination to develop its sea economy is supported in sustainable uses of the oceans and its resources. This is a common value also shared by the business community. Actually, in certain instances, we are seeing that private initiatives are leading the development of best practices and setting standards for policymakers. In these respects, Portugal's National Ocean Strategy and relevant legislation has achieved a delicate balance between economic development and sustainable use of the oceans and these resources. Portugal is also determined to catalyze partnerships and to build on best practice and know-how. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Portugal is unwavering in creating value from the ocean for the benefit of present and future generations. To achieve this goal, we must first and foremost develop our knowledge of the ocean. Over the years, Portugal has invested significantly in increasing and improving national capabilities and know-how. This is the case, for example, of the works undertaken in preparation of our submission for the extension of the continental shelf, which will become one of the world's largest maritime areas under national jurisdiction. Through partnerships with academics, scientists and research centers, and other relevant stakeholders, we have uncovered fascinating marine life and the resources, and we are leading the way in the adoption of groundbreaking measures for the protection and preservation of marine environment, such as concerning the creation of marine protected areas and use and conservation of fisheries. We strongly believe that only through these important partnerships and the increase of our knowledge, innovation and efficiency can we also benefit the sustainable development of our sea economy in its three dimensions: the economic, the social and the environmental. Only through an economic, social and environmental sustainable development can we develop a sea economy that is in fact sustainable, thus creating a valuable legacy for our future generations. Portugal is a solid and reliable partner for the marine bioresources industry. In Portugal, you will find environmentally and socially sustainable policies, high qualified human resources, state-of-the-art research and development centers, support from policymakers and administration, and investor-friendly regulatory regimes. Another relevant aspect that Portugal has to offer is unique weather conditions, as we have witnessed these days, that are indispensable for certain sectors of marine bioresource industry, such as microalgae. This is one aspect that not even the most stable politician can claim to be doing, at least in theory. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my sincere thanks to all those that organized and took part and supported this event, and express my sincere wishes that you may have meaningful discussions and brainstorming sessions, but most important that you will appreciate and recognize unique opportunities in Portugal, that Portugal has to offer to the marine bioresources industry, and please take some time to visit Cascais, because I'm sure that you will dare to come to the ocean with the Portuguese. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
We have plenty of time. You know, we start on time, we finish on time, and this time we still have time. I'm relaxed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is somehow ironic to have a prince as a leader of the most important revolution. The blue revolution may be sailing towards new horizon, but it still needs a captain with strong leadership skills to navigate through all the storms. Monaco's commitment to the ocean goes way back in the family tree, but His Highness is now at the helm and guiding the blue revolution towards new opportunities. He knows the kind of storm that awaits us, notably climate change, environmental conservation, and politics. Yet, like all great sailing adventure, the captain needs to gain the trust of his crew. His Highness is fully aware that in order for the blue revolution to materialize, we need to convince people, such as yourself, and the final consumer, that investing in the blue economy will transform our lives. The blue revolution is more than a simple, worthwhile investment. Yes, it can increase your investment and your revenue, but it will also change your way of life and directly benefit to the ocean environment. His Highness must somehow convince a skeptical and hesitating world that the best human adventure has already begun. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd ask you to warmly welcome His Serene Highness, Prince Albert II of Monaco.
Thank you very much, Pierre, for that over-enthusiastic and over-exuberant presentation. Mr. Minister, Secretary to the Sea of Portugal, Your Excellencies, Mr. Mayor of Cascais, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'd like to say, of course, how thrilled I am to be back here in Portugal, to be back here in Cascais. And let me express my warmest thanks to, of course, I was able to say that to the President of your country last night, but for everyone who has taken part in the organization of BioMarine for this conference and convention, and for inviting me, of course, to be a part of these proceedings. It's always a pleasure to be here in Portugal, of course, in this beautiful city of Cascais. As you know, it's said before, my family has a long history of friendship with Portugal, and so I'm very happy to rekindle this connection anytime I can. I've not forgotten that very close to Cascais, great explorers once set off around the globe, positioning Portugal as a great maritime nation. I'm thrilled to see that this country is once again preparing its future by looking toward the ocean. I'd also like, of course, to thank Pierre and Veronique Herves and their faithful partners, and they are also partners of my foundation, and our roads frequently cross over the same issues and the same hopes and dreams. I've been following with interest BioMarine's initiatives and achievements for many years. The success of this International Business Convention confirms the high quality of the work conducted by its directors and the high potential in the topics that unite us. A potential that I would like to address briefly for you today. It's not a question of flaunting the merits of technological and industrial prospects for which you have a better knowledge than myself. It is a question of making people understand that the BioMarine project is part of a pertinent commercial and entrepreneurial logic, and that can, above all, be met by political need. Leveraging on marine bioresources does not only mean an additional source of supply for a world with an increasing appetite. For me, it's far more about being able to respond to the challenges of the present through solutions for the future, to having the determination to find answers to the various problems we face. I'd like to characterize this challenge in 3 words: lucidity, responsibility, and inventiveness. These 3 words, I think, embody, and I think for all of us, profound needs. They find here in the topics that bring us together a unique opportunity to take concrete and positive shape. First of all, lucidity. The key strength of marine bioresources is not merely the many promises they hold. What makes their development and growth inevitable is first and foremost the lucid observation of the world as it is. We are in a world of scarcity, even shortage, as evidenced by the situation of key resources on which we depend. I'm thinking of energy, of course, although it is a primary prerequisite for improving people's lives and empowering individuals. We witness on a daily basis the limits of the current energy system that relies on resources that are too rare to fully satisfy humankind, which can be toxic to the environment and subject to depletion. I'm also thinking of food, which we all know is one of the main challenges today facing the balance of our world, and which will be even more of a challenge in the upcoming years and decades. With 9 billion humans soon on our planet, with food requirements and standards that fortunately are increasing, which practices that are becoming standardized, the food issue has become one of the greatest challenges of this century. current system leads to the destruction of 0.5% of our arable land per year, representing 30 million hectares. That's almost the size of Italy. At this rate, 50% of the Earth's land will have been exhausted in 100 years. Irrigation, which leaches the soil, pollution, which damages it, urbanization, these are all causes that point to a potential disaster. Marine resources are not in a better position, since their exploitation is still too highly dominated by overfishing and irresponsible agriculture. In 2011, 400 international experts from more than 35 countries approached by the United Kingdom came to this alarming conclusion, which sadly went unnoticed. Without changing our ways, we have 20 years to produce 40% more food and 50% more energy. That's a very short period of time. These figures, ladies and gentlemen, should lead us to take stock of our situation. The impossible equation between supply bound to diminish and an ever-expanding demand. It would be unrealistic and futile, I think, to respond to the current crises by supporting negative growth, which few people wish for, and more importantly, which proves itself impossible. To ensure the survival of the billions of humans living on this planet, and more importantly, those who will live after us, we have no choice but to change our conduct and find new resources. Among them, marine bioresources are obviously there to play an important role, due not only to their various potential, but also to the magnitude of the volumes we can hope to benefit from these in the long term. However, it does not mean that they should not be exploited by perpetuating a contradictory system. After plundering the land and many maritime resources, especially fish resources, it would be absolutely suicidal not to now start depleting this new wealth, as yet barely explored. And this brings me to the second principle that I proposed before, that is responsibility. It pushes us to develop, starting right now, a certain number of guarantees and long-term mechanisms that would only ensure the reasonable and sustainable use of these new resources. These guarantees must come primarily from international legal instruments which currently are insufficient, both in the face of the challenges of which we are already aware, climate change, damage to biodiversity, and in the face of new challenges which are of concern to us today. Treaties need to be implemented and their provisions enforced. The main one is, of course, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. This treaty was and is a visionary legal instrument, but it needs adaptation. We would like to improve it so that it can take better account of key issues, not only for marine genetic resources, but to all threatened species in the area beyond national jurisdiction, i.e. the high seas, that are not covered by any other legal instruments. The political push should be, on the one hand, to make sure oceans and seas will have a dedicated sustainable development goal in the post-2015 development agenda, and on the other hand, that we start all these negotiations for an implementing agreement not restricted to marine genetic resources. It will be a missed opportunity to restrict these negotiations to marine genetic resources and not to address the urgent protection of all endangered species in the high seas. I would also like to point out that the governance of the ocean and its resources increases the complexity of the situation. The FAO is responsible for fisheries management, UNEP for the environment, the IMO for navigation, and UNESCO for scientific matters. As for the International Seabed Authority itself, it is only vested with power in regard to mineral resources, which means that no commission is competent as far as the exploitation of bioresources in international waters are concerned. The International Seabed Authority was established for a specific purpose, and its mandate could be reviewed to invest it with other responsibilities, but of course, this will have a cost. Excuse me. Is it me or is it warm in here? Significant efforts need to be made here, which unfortunately will not come about quickly. We see at every international summit how great the challenges are. Confronted with the divergent interests of various nations, and faced with what is considered more urgent crises, the international community struggles to reach an agreement with regard to sustainable development. That is why measures can and must also be taken at a local and even a national level. I'm thinking of the conservation of certain rare resources, or the particular attention we should pay to certain extremely fragile regions. In order to do this, we have the Marine Protected Areas system, the principle of which needs to be expanded and applied to all sea-related activities. In the absence of certainty, the exploitation of bioresources itself must, like all economic activities, respect certain sensitive areas whose future is vital to all humanity. That is why I care for, with my government and my foundation and within multilateral fora, about these marine protected areas which have experienced significant growth recently. However, with only 2.3% of the global ocean surface currently under the status of a protected area, there is still a long way to go. The targets that were established at the Nagoya Conference in 2010, may I remind you, provided for an increased figure of 10% of the ocean surface by 2020. This goal is, I think you will all agree, an extremely low figure for successful maintenance of sustainable biodiversity. It is therefore crucial to sustain all efforts in this respect. More refined, inventive, and unprecedented measures need to be developed based on improved scientific knowledge and of the mechanisms at work and on the implementation of safer technical solutions. And this is the third principle that I mentioned: innovation. Such innovation is also the responsibility of political leaders who need to define new ways of protecting our seas. It is to this end that, together with the French and Monegasque governments, my foundation launched last year a Mediterranean Trust, the purpose of which is to fund the development of marine protected areas in the Mediterranean and to promote their operation as a network. This is one example among many, an example of the inventiveness that we all need to demonstrate in order to create blue growth. This inventiveness also involves a great amount of research whose promotion is the responsibility of all of us, but especially of political leaders. By hosting various international scientific events and laboratories, by contributing to various research programs across the globe, in particular on maritime issues, my country is involved in this effort. However, choosing innovation means above all placing trust in companies, because the principle of innovation is at the heart of their approach. It guarantees their success and guides them on a day-to-day basis. I believe that companies need to be fully involved in our objectives, in the objective of a new growth, and this blue growth in which they should play the leading role and be the first beneficiaries. At a time when current crises fuel doubts on the social value and responsibility of the corporate sector, at a time when they are so often disparaged, an opportunity is being given to them to prove their value. It is in fact up to companies to explore and develop the vast field of marine bioresources in a responsible and sustainable manner for the benefit of all. They alone have the ability to match the needs of the planet with the daily expectations of the consumer. They alone are able to spur men and women daily, those who have a thirst for progress, but who do not want to destroy the heritage of future generations. That is why I support BioMarine and this project, and the project it is implementing, the project in which you are all key players. For these reasons, and with my foundation, I have chosen to take part in the creation of the Bio-International Clusters Association. The growth I'm calling for is made of networks, cooperation, shared access to information for everyone in the interest of everyone. BioMarine is an amazing catalyst for these new energies, a catalyst that we need to nurture and to encourage by being responsible players ourselves in the development of our oceans. It is a necessity for all of us, for our children, and for the oceans themselves. So Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, aware of the situation of our planet, responsible, faced with prospects of new resources, inventive, confronted with the challenges posed by these resources, we will, I am sure, be able to address the challenges of this century. The road ahead, or should I say the waterway ahead, will of course be difficult. This is a road within our reach as long as we give ourselves the means to follow it, so that our fragile world of rare resources is able to continue to live in peace, to offer progress and hope to as many people as possible. We have to move forward. I think we have no other choice. And as Winston Churchill once very aptly said, he said many wonderful things, but he said this: we must take change by the hand, or rest assured, change will take us by the throat. Marine bioresources must help us take this change by the hand, and BioMarine can help us achieve it. That is the reason of our presence, I think, here today. Have a wonderful convention. Thank you very much.